So here we are on Photoshop. So let's start and rip. Yeah, let's get the animations and let's make the clean up of them. So I'm going to create a new file and I'm just going to do something big that, let's say, let's find one of our biggest animations, for example. Actually, these are kind of extreme, but I think 85 by 60. Okay, yeah, maybe for this attack you can go bigger, but I think 60 by 60 to probably cover most of the animations that we use. Okay. So let's create new 60 by 60. Okay, here I don't need the background. I'm actually going to delete it. Can't we add? And I'm going to copy this frame, for example. This would be a frame of reference, and I'm going to paste it. Now I need to know, I need to create frame of reference for all my animations. Okay, so we can say that from bottom. So from the bottom, we can say that we have say four animation, four pixels from the bottom, and then yeah, let's go with 1, 3, 6 frames from the bottom. Okay, and that will be our frame of reference. So each frame we use on the game, on all units, not just this character, it should always be at 6 frames from the bottom. Okay, so now I know that if I'm making new sprites, in this case I'm copying it here, if I go and for this now, if I go and place something just 6 frames from the bottom, I know they will always be in the correct position. So let's assume that I did all that and have all my frames. Now this is on 6 frames, bottom, 4 frames from the bottom, you can see, but I'm just going to go with this. So let's say, let's for that, I'm going to say duplicate layers. We're going to go on the side of 4. Okay, and now I'm going to these are actually, oops, yeah, these are actually the walker mech, but maybe we can just use the walker mech. So I've already picked it. So let's copy all that. Again, duplicate layers. Let's for okay. Let's assume that I did that right on camera. Okay, and I'm going to just close the other. And on this layer, let's add this. Okay, so you can see now that on all my layers, I actually have oh, this place. Not seeing this. Do this. Photos being very annoying. So whatever. Let's use just this frames. Okay. So we have these 3 frames. Let's assume this is a complete work. Let's say this is a complete animation loop. It isn't, but bear with me. So you can go into Window, Timeline, and click this. Instead of create video timeline, you can just create frame animation and click create. So this will be now your first frame. Okay, on my first frame, I only want one animation, of course, and I'm going to click on the second frame. I'm going to close that. And you can actually see it. Now, it's actually playing very fast than what we're going to be using it in Unity, but it's fine for making, quick adjustments. So on the next frame, for example, on the next frame, for example, you can just go pick up the frame to use. Come over here, paste it, and move it to the correct position and close the other. Okay. And because photos, of course, is being annoying, you actually have to disable it on the other layers as well. So it's better if you just import all of these sprites first and then just create the frame animation. Okay, so let's do that. Yeah, I lost. Okay. 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you get the idea. So I'm going to pause now and come back when this is done. Okay, so now I have all my frames in. So back to frame 1. We will delete all of that. Okay, so that's frame 1. Frame 2, we delete that, we enable 1, and then for frame 3, for the next one, but of course we need to start placing them around. Okay, just forward. Yeah. So basically just in this case, because it's the idle, the feet will never move. Okay, frame 4. And we can of course just enable the 2 layers. Just see it. That one. Okay. 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 Of course, this is kind of a tedious work, but in this case, somebody has to do it. Usually, you get it. Do this. But yeah, you can see that we're actually there. Okay, so there's our animation. You can hit play, and you can actually see that it's actually playing fine. So how do we export this? Now, there is a couple ways of doing that without having a lot of problems. You can see that this actually plays pretty fine with the frame rate Photoshop has, which is cool. I'm not sure. Let's not play with a chances. So I'm just going to save this And let's call this, okay, let's call this here IT idle work file. Save that. Okay. Now we of course have to remove the base layer, the ground layer. Okay. So now we can just go and say export, and I think we can just render the file. Okay, I'm going to go C folder. I think I have some files there already. So I'm cleaning that folder up. Did okay, delete that. And now Photoshop image sequencer from Adobe Media Encoder. Then alpha channel needs to be straight and matte. Okay, I think that's all the important things. The rest will work fine. Document size, of course, will be what it is, and just export. Okay, so now, because I exported right into Unity, I should have them in here. Okay, so there's all our frame. Now, I haven't found a way to export them as a single sprite image. Keep that in mind. So, yeah, now this will at least work fine with what we have. So, let's say if I was to make an animation in here, animation create, yeah, let's call it idle, drop it here. Okay, you can see that it will play. Now, of course, it plays on 60 frames per second. So what we should do, and it's a little bit of annoying that we cannot select the sample anymore. So, but we can say if this is at 17, then if we scale this up to go by 4, it should probably play. Just going to go by what looks better here. 2, 2. Okay. We can of course play with the timing. If you make some frames to overlap faster, it kind of jumps a little bit because it's playing faster than the other frame. This probably be a little longer. Now just play with the timing because that's an article. Well, jumps a little bit less. There's something jumping over here, so that should go. Anyway, you get the idea. and just, yeah, that's kind of better. Okay, so you get the idea, and from cleaning up a sprite and adding this into the game. Now I need to make this at least for the walk cycle, of course, and one attack. We'll see which attack I'm going to use. I think might just use 4 frames of this, and yeah, because they're kind of a lot of frames just to do right now. So now, before you go and create or clean up sprites, if you're doing it with this, just know that we need to change a little bit the setup we have over here. Okay, so that all of these are bundled inside together, so we can actually also create, add a little bit more behaviors and add a few more layers to them, stuff like that. But as, at least this part is done, because this is mostly just a cleanup inside Photoshop on how to do it and stuff like that. Now, the other trick that you might find useful is how do you clean up, stuff like this, Photoshop. So basically, how do you remove the pink color? Because if you do it like here and select similar and delete, that actually worked fine. Yeah, so one way is that, or you can just go select color range, select the pink color, and click OK, and just click. And there's that. And now you have clean frame. Okay, so that's it for this part. That's it for cleaning the map in Photoshop. And as well, if I want to place this guy now, of course, I need to check that he's 6 pixels on top from the bottom. Okay. And yeah, one other thing, because I forgot, is set on all those frames, set the pivot to be at the bottom, because that's what we used in here. So when I hit play, you'll see he will still remain on his position. Correct. Okay, so on the next part, we're actually going to make on the next part, we're going to make the walking animations and wire it up with our logic. So I'll see you on that